And now we take a look at what transpired during Sri Lankan President Anura Disanayake's first international visit, and that too to India. Sri Lankan President met India's Prime Minister in Delhi and clearly said that the island nation will not allow itself to be used in ways detrimental to India. The next report by DD India's Amritpal Singh and Jessica Taneja brings us up to date on this.
On Monday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake held detailed discussions to deepen cooperation between the two countries in areas such as defence, trade and investment. Prime Minister Modi acknowledged the close interlinking of the two countries' security interests.
हम दोनों इस बात से पूरी तरह सहमत हैं कि हमारे सुरक्षा हित एक दूसरे से जुड़े हैं। हमने रक्षा सहयोग समझौते को शीघ्र अंतिम रूप देने का निर्णय लिया है।
The two leaders also agreed to expand cooperation in hydrography. Both countries agreed to cooperate in areas of maritime security, counter-terrorism, cyber-security, smuggling and organized crime, as well as disaster relief and humanitarian assistance. Both leaders agreed on the need to continue to address issues related to fishermen in a humanitarian manner.
We also want to find a durable and sustainable solution to the fishermen's issue that has become a plague for both countries.
The Sri Lankan president, who's on his first international visit since taking office in September, assured Prime Minister Modi that Sri Lanka would not allow its territory to be used in any way that could undermine India's security interests.
I've also given an assurance to the Prime Minister of India that we will not allow our land to be used in any way in a manner that is detrimental to the interest of India.
Both nations signed two memoranda of understanding, one a protocol amending the double taxation avoidance agreement and prevention of fiscal evasion, the other an agreement regarding training and capacity building of civil servants in Sri Lanka. India reiterated its commitment to supporting Sri Lanka's development.
Friends, भारत ने अब तक श्रीलंका को $5 बिलियन की लाइन्स ऑफ क्रेडिट और ग्रांट सहायता प्रदान की है। श्रीलंका के सभी 25 जिलों में हमारा सहयोग है और हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स का चयन सदैव पार्टनर देशों की विकास प्राथमिकताओं पर आधारित होता है।
President Dissanayake, who arrived in Delhi on Sunday, was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Sri Lankan President met with President Draupadi Murmu. He will attend a business event in New Delhi to promote investment and commercial links between the two countries. The Sri Lankan President will also visit Bodh Gaya during his stay in India. With Jessica Taneja, Amritpal Singh, DD India.
All right, DD India's Dr. Ahmed Moin Farooqi joins us from Colombo. Ahmed, good morning. Now, we've given a detailed report to our viewers telling us about the engagements between Sri Lankan President and the Indian leadership, and also how today is planned when we talk of his engagements in India. But then I would want you to analyze for us, how do you evaluate the engagements, because very important statements coming in from both the sides talking of how the relationship can be strengthened hereafter, and also the Sri Lankan president committing that Sri Lankan territory will not be used for reasons detrimental to India. Get us more as to how do you evaluate the engagements which the Sri Lankan president has had in India yesterday.
Pretty good morning, and good morning to all of our viewers across the world. Yes, sir. It's a very important visit that President Disanayaka is having in India, not just because this is something which is being considered as his first international visit, but this is also in the same line that traditionally Sri Lankan presidents have had India as the first port of call. At the same time, we have been noting that India-Sri Lanka bilateral relations have been on an upward take, and that is primarily due to the policy of neighborhood first, led by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as well as the Sagar outlook that India has with regard to how the security and rules for all in the region would be applicable. Now, the decisions which were made yesterday and which were announced by both the leaders, they spell out the several important facets that are encompassed in the bilateral relations. And this is the positive step because Indian development partnership is something which is very, very crucial and it links people to people on both sides. In fact, Prime Minister had talked about Indian development projects which have encompassed all 25 districts. There are 25 districts in Sri Lanka, and Indian housing project, primarily speaking, it is present in all 25 districts. There have been other projects as well, which are touching various parts of Sri Lanka. At the same time, both leaders have, brought in this part that the development priorities will be on the most important agenda. While at the same time, the Sri Lankan president talks of, the maintaining that Sri Lankan territory will not be used for any activity that will be detrimental to Indian interests. And this is something which is remarkable because NPP, the alliance to which the President Disanayaka belongs to, their policy book also had mentioned the same, agenda that they will not allow Sri Lankan territory to be used for any adverse interests for any country, particularly for India. So this is something which is a very positive development because JVP, although it has had a negative history in the past, it has had maintained an anti-India stance in the past in 80s and 90s. Now the JVP has transformed, and of course, although it is the primary constituent of NPP, but the government is being led by NPP, and NPP has maintained that it will have a very clear kind of mandate to understand the geopolitics and the geoeconomics, and will consider India as a very strategic partner. And therefore, this development comes as a very important one. At the same time, the business and the investment meet also brings in an element that Sri Lanka looks forward to Indian investments. We also have to remember here that External Affairs Minister on his several visits to Sri Lanka had mentioned that although India has extended about $4.5 billion lines of credit and grant assistance during the economic crisis, the way forward for the assistance that India would provide would primarily be in the form of Indian investments and not the lines of credit. And this is something which goes in line with what Sri Lanka also anticipates, primarily because the Indian investments have been a very big source of FDI to Sri Lanka. That is one. Secondly, they have been producing tremendous job opportunities, which are very useful, which will generate revenue for Sri Lanka, as well as reduce the requirement for imports to Sri Lanka, where it is already struggling through a forex crisis.
All right.
Preeti.
All right, Emma. Thank you so much for joining in with those details.